Hi, I'm Ruby, and this is my story of shame and unshaming. Have you heard about the idea of being an honorable woman? I'm sure you have. The honorable women are most revered in the eyes of Allah. These women live with honor and shame. These women sacrifice their needs, their desires, and their pleasures in order to serve the men of their families. I grew up in such an environment. I grew up seeing men as superior beings. After all, Allah was called a He. The call for prayers in all the mosques were always male. The heads of the families were males. Most women didn't study beyond primary education. Their parents took them off schools and made sure that their girls learned the domestic chores because it was their primary duty to care for their families. As a child, wherever I went, I saw these messages presented to me as part of an overall system. I saw my aunties beaten with a belt by their husbands. And the same aunties told me later on that it was a man's right to hit his wife. And it was okay, and it was not that big a deal. A woman was supposed to cover herself in public, and if she didn't, she was a slut, and it was within men's right to teach her a lesson. I learned many such lessons. When I walked on the streets with a scarf on my head, but my face visible, men looked at me with such a level of lust that it's hard to describe. They tried to strip me naked with their eyes. They sang vulgar songs, and they would grope my breasts and my genitals when I walked on the streets. Other times they followed me till I arrived at the college. I felt shamed and ashamed in walking on the streets of Karachi, Pakistan. If a woman was raped, it was her fault. After all, it was her job to cover herself. Thankfully, I wasn't raped, but I was sexually abused by many men as a child. These men showed me their penises. These men showed me their penises. They touched me down there. These men showed me their penises. They touched me down there. They kissed me without my permissions. They asked me to hold their genitals tight and squeeze them so that they can get pleasure. And they tried to do nasty things to me while I was asleep. I was to never speak of it, and it was my fault that it happened. Or at least that's what they made me believe. It seemed that the only way to survive was to shut down my feelings. So I shut down my sexuality, I shut down my womanhood. I stopped thinking about what I wanted or needed or desired. Pakistani culture taught me that my life didn't matter, that I didn't amount to anything, and that my existence was only a burden. And my life would have continued to be this miserable. But luck had it that I had an opportunity to leave Pakistan and learn the taste of real life without abuse. The last 2 decades have been a slow and gradual process of healing my wounds and unshaming my sexuality. The Unshaming project is born out of my own healing journey. I owe it to Allah to embrace my life, my creativity, my compassion, and my sexuality. With this awareness, I now feel compelled to share my thoughts and my experiences. I want all women to know that the shame given to us by men and by elders of our societies is not ours to carry. I believe that we have lost true essence of Islam. I believe that Allah wants us to live with love, compassion, forgiveness, justice, equality. And it is our job to find the true essence of Islam. The Unshaming project is my attempt to find this new face of Islam, and I hope you can join me. Thank you for listening, and happy unshaming.